Noguja? Hoa. Remember, that tells me you're ready to hear the story. And this is another rabbit story. This explains why Rabbit that we know today is the way he is today. Yankiduda, akinohe slai. This is what my grandfather told me. ATU, a long time ago, Jistu had a long, fluffy tail, just like Chula Fox. And he was always bragging about his tail, always showing it off and this and that and the other. Well, this cold day, he had been out hunting all day and had been very unsuccessful. He hadn't found anything to eat. So he was coming home with his tail wrapped around him for warmth. And he was very glad he had a big bushy tail because it was really cold. Well, as he was going home, up the path came Chula with a nice string of fish. Well, Jistu saw Chula coming. He said, "Sio, Chula, where'd you get those fish?" Chula knew that old Rabbit was a trickster. He was always up to no good. So he decided he was going to have some fun with him. So he said to him, "I caught him in the creek." Jistu says, "No, I don't think so. Creek is frozen. You can't get fish out of a frozen creek." Chula says, "I just went down to the creek. I chopped a hole in the ice and I put my tail down through that hole and the fish came along and bite my tail, and when it felt heavy, I stood up and that's where I got all these fish." Jistu said, "Is that true?" Chula says, And without another word, Jistu turned and ran down to the creek. Well, as soon as he got down there, he looked around, found a stick, and then chopped a hole in the ice. Then he sat down and took his long tail and put it down through the hole, and he sat down the ice, which was very cold. If you ever sat on ice, you know it's very cold. Well, he sat there, and it got colder and colder, and old Jistu got hungrier and hungrier, and finally said, "I'd better go get something to eat. Old Fox's way of catching fish ain't working." So he decided to stand up. He couldn't stand up. He was frozen to the ice. So he started yelling for help. "Halstela! Halstela!" which is help me in Cherokee. "Halstela!" Oh, Yona, bear, was going by. He came over and he said, "What's all this noise about?" And Jistu told him what Chula had said about the fish and the tail and the ice and so forth. Yona just shook his head and said, No, that's no way to catch fish. Here, let me help you." So he reached down and he got a good grip on Jistu, and he wouldn't move. He said, wouldn't move. He said, "We'll get him this time." So he reached down, got a good grip on him, and popped him right off the ice, which was good and bad, because down there, underneath the ice, waving in the water, was Jistu's tail. And that's why Rabbit has such a short tail today, because of what Chula had told him, and because Yona pulled it off. Nigaha.